You're watching Good Morning Britain. Do your duty. That's Theresa May's call to MPs to get them to back her Brexit deal.
Yeah, to prevent a cabinet mutiny, the Prime Minister is now promising MPs votes next month on her deal, no deal or a delay to Brexit. So what is going to happen next? To try and explain and pick through the detail, we're joined by Director of UK and a Changing Europe, Professor Anand Menon. Anand, you are an expert in the world of European politics, so you're going to give us all the answers we've been desperate for the last 2 years. Let's
also
start.
An astrologer, you're right.
Yeah. Let's start with the burning question for lots of people. Will we actually leave on March the 29th?
Well, it's not certain because, of course, Parliament has to decide what it wants, and it's conceivable that Parliament decides that we'll have an extension and a referendum. At the moment, I don't think there are the votes there for a referendum.
OK.
So do you think that something will happen on March the 29th?
I think, actually, very little will happen on March the 29th because when we were talking earlier, I said even if the deal goes through on the 12th, I don't think we can leave on March the 29th because there's this massive piece of legislation that Parliament has to pass and it'll take
So even if the MPs vote for the deal that Theresa May is putting up for them to vote on the 12th of March, there's not enough time for that to actually make leaving on the 29th.
There's not enough time to put that agreement into domestic law for us to leave on the 29th of March.
So we're not leaving on the 29th. Whatever happens, we're not leaving on the 29th.
No, but I still think the odds are probably just on us leaving. But if the deal falls, then everything's up for grabs. If that deal gets defeated on the 12th by a significant margin, then Parliament's got to make a choice, which is either you try and get another deal or those in Parliament who want a referendum are going to be lobbying hard to get the votes they need for that.
So what is the likelihood of that? Jeremy Corbyn has now said that in certain circumstances he would back a second referendum. There are a lot of people who feel it would betray everything we believe in about our democracy to have that. What do you think will happen?
Well, this anti-democratic argument I don't really like. I mean, the fact is that if Parliament mandates something to happen, it's democratic according to the rules of our system. But there's no doubt a referendum would be hugely divisive. It would cause a lot of bad blood. And, of course, there's always the danger with a referendum that if we end up going 52-48 the other way, perhaps on a slightly smaller turnout than last time, people are immediately going to start hollering for a decider, a best out of three. So there are no clear and neat solutions here. In principle, from tonight, when Labour puts forward its amendment for its sort of Brexit, which will get defeated, Corbyn becomes a supporter of a second referendum. But, of course, that only comes into play if the Prime Minister loses on the 12th.
OK, one last question then for you. The chances of us, if she loses on the 12th, the deal doesn't go through, there's no second referendum, or that becomes an issue. What about crashing out with no deal whatsoever? What are the chances of us leaving on the 29th with no deal?
And would it be a bad thing?
What are the implications? Is it positive? Is it negative?
OK, that's about 4 questions.
Sorry.
But anyway, all right. I think the chances are very slim, even though that's the legal situation, and even though Parliament needs to vote for something else to stop it. There is a massive majority in the House of Commons against leaving with no deal. And I think what that means is if Parliament votes to not have no deal, even though it has absolutely no legal force, politically, that's a massive constraint on the Prime Minister. So she has to then, I think, ask for a delay to avoid no deal.
Right.
Would it be bad? It would be very, very disruptive in the short term. And I'd just say you should look at the government published yesterday its own internal report on the implications of no deal. And in the short term, at least, there would be disruptions.
Short term, though? Long-term gain for a bit of short-term pain?
Well...
Or is there no guarantee of that?
Then we were in the realm of economic forecasts, which is different to the realm of facts. But I think virtually all the economic forecasts out there suggest that after no deal, if we're trading on WTO terms, it would mean that our economy would be smaller than it otherwise would have been. I mean, that's the crucial distinction, is all these forecasts are talking about compared to a sort of hypothetical future when we were in the European Union. But all the indications are it would severely impact on our trade with the European Union, and that in turn would have an impact on our economy.
OK. Well done. I mean, you seem to answer lots of questions there. We'll keep the tape and we'll come back to it and see if it's come to pass. Well done to you.
Anna, thanks so much for joining us again. Right, lots more still to come, including this year's feisty Celebrity Apprentice candidates.